Hello and welcome. We are here once again for a BPL match. This is the decider match in the GSL group style. BCTV versus Slicklikevik. Winner moves on to the round of 8. Loser is out. I am, of course, Huck. That same Huck from StarCraft, that same Huck from Overwatch League. I hope you're going to enjoy this match. And with me, my co-caster is...
Hello there. I also like playing games, RTS games, and yeah, I'm on the round of 8 for this tournament.
Yeah, you're already
So
through.
I'm gonna be observing my opponent here. Uh, Whoever
So
wins is against me, I think. So
I see. That makes sense. I remember I was talking to Randy yesterday just through stream chat, and he was very much hoping you would win so that he wouldn't have to play you. I think you're a very well-respected player. I heard a couple people calling you Blow God. I think it looks better in text than it does saying out loud,
you
but you
know,
know,
yeah, if you say it out loud, it sounds like blow God, and I don't know if I want to be known for that.
hey man, you got skills either way. In game, out of game, if that's what you're good at,
Oh
that's what
yeah,
you're good at.
oh yeah,
But cool for you, right? There's no pressure as of right now. You know, you have a week to prepare. You get
yeah,
to
yeah.
kick back, watch this game, take some notes. It's going to be hopefully good games. I think most
Yeah, I
people,
wasn't sure if I was gonna like. I thought I would struggle a bit more in the last. Um, yeah, I played yesterday,
yeah.
all my games in the groups, and I thought I would struggle more, but it was ended up being really smooth. So I'm
So you
happy with
played
that.
both matches yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I 2-0'd both of them.
Yeah, I watched the second series. It looked pretty one-sided. I did not catch the first series, but I feel like honestly, your play reminds me of BCTV in the sense that it feels very clean, very structured. You take small advantages where you can. You're a great macro player. Obviously, I think you're like the more enhanced version of BCTV. I think you're on like that next level. If there's tiers to this shit, I think you're a little bit above these players, but all in all, I would say you're pretty similar. But not to go too much into yesterday's game, we are, of course, getting into this match. Pro BCTV versus Slicklikevik. A tough game. You can see from the OS at the bottom right. I think most people would consider BCTV probably a little advantaged against Slicklikevik. But we'll see if Slick can pull out any tips, tricks, cool plays. He was watching Pro BCTV playing yesterday, so he does have a little bit of scouting information, and these players are very, very experienced against each other.
Yeah, so Barkas is definitely the more experienced 1-1 player, but Slick is the more experienced 8v8 player, I would say, or like he's high rating in 8v8s and so on.
Hmm.
So there is definitely like there are advantages for Slick as well. It's not like he's completely outmatched even though his rating's lower.
Yeah, and I think both players, as far as I understand from looking at past BPLs, neither player has made it to the round of 8. I think BCTV has been around in the scene longer. I think Slicklikevik started playing less than a year ago, basically. At least in Beyond All Reason. I'm not sure if he was like a Supreme Commander or TA player previously.
No, I don't know. I don't know what he played for Bar. Could just be anything really.
Nah, I
Um,
would imagine he definitely has some sort of RTS background, but yeah, I'm nowhere. He's a fairly new
yeah.
player. BCTV, I think, is doing better as time goes on, right? Would you say that as someone who's probably known him for a while, that
Yeah,
recently
yeah.
he's
But
improved
Barkas has
much?
improved. Yeah, Barkas has improved recently a lot, I would say. His rating has gone up at least. you know. But yeah, he's a very solid player. I think Slick is pretty similar in playstyle as well. Like he's also very solid. He doesn't do any kind of cheesy stuff.
Hmm, nothing like
We're
touchy.
gonna kind of expect
Yeah,
nothing like Emre.
yeah, sure. All-ins, non-stop, calm walks. But get into the match. It feels like
Yeah.
Slicklikevik a little bit more defensive, opening with a quicker con. BCTV going for, a few more rovers earlier. Both players just poking and prodding, trying to get as much scouting information as possible, trying to see what their opponent's up to. But fairly standard from both sides. Both players walking their
They
comms in the same
timing.
direction. Go ahead.
They they did a mirrored start, but the Slicklikevik went for Solars first while it was 4 wind, so he had a
Mm.
slightly faster lab. However, he made some units earlier, I think, because their cons are pretty much the same timing even then.
Yeah, and how do you feel about this matchup? One being obviously arm, one being core, both being vehicle opens. I feel like kind of standard. Feels like most players have been leaning more towards core as the standard, arm being
Yeah.
more of a pocket pick. So, what do you see, or what do you think, or how do you feel about Pro BCTV opening arm here, being kind of the outlier and normal play?
Arm is well, blitzes specifically are good on open maps.
Hmm.
Now this is it's like fairly open. Obviously, once you get through the middle choke point, which you do at the start. I mean, no one's got it LLT'd up yet, so you can use the abuse the range of the blitz. But yeah, even with that, I think core is probably still better here on this map. Would be my opinion. I think on like Comet Catcher, arm is has a better shot. I would say, but on this map, it's still core favored.
Yeah, probably Comet Catcher being a little more open. This does have, as you were mentioning, it's fairly open once you get through the middle, but there are quite a few choke points, right? If you can establish LLTs on the high ground or where this pocket expansion is, there are points where, one LLT will shut down a good amount of aggression. But we'll have to see what BCTV opens up with. I mean, he has a blitz. He has seen some success with blitz in the past. At the end of the day, though, maybe he's hoping to close this game out. I just don't
Yeah,
see. Go ahead.
he can totally win with arm. It's not a problem really. I would say the core is favored, but it's completely winnable for arm. And here actually he's ahead quite a lot. Barkas does,
Yeah,
and that's just
already.
because Slick decided to make an LLT really fast in the back. Like he made a Raider and LLT in the back with his con,
Hmm.
whereas Barkas immediately expanded. So he just got a massive mass lead immediately from that
Yeah,
metal lead. That is.
you can see at the top right, metal produce favored on the red side. 15% doesn't feel like a lot, but it is very significant and it can snowball. Obviously, at the higher tiers of plays, you try to skimp as much possible and LLTs on radars, relying on your multitasking, relying on your micro to defend and attack and posture and do whatever you need to do. And as Bloodier mentioned, this early LLT, this early radar does provide a little bit of safety, but you are sacrificing a little bit of eco, a little bit of build power, a little bit of quicker, faster metal. But it does look like both players
Yeah, I
gonna.
would say
Go ahead.
that's an oversafe radar, oversafe LT and radar
Mm-hmm.
because it's behind your base. You can absolutely defend that without the LLT. There's a lot of cases where something's really far away from you and there's literally no possible way you could react to a scout attacking it, regardless of how early you see it, pretty much. In those cases, you have to have an LLT. There's just no point leaving a unit there when you could make an LLT because LLT is pretty much the same price,
Yeah.
or similar anyway.
Yeah. Both players gonna attack here, looking for as much damage as they can. I feel like Slicklikevik had a good defense, a little bit of an overextension by Barcast. He does trade out a few units, zero value. The gap is closing slowly but surely. Metal produced dropping from 15% to 8%. So Slicklikevik so far feeling pretty comfortable. I think we're gonna see both players, over time. It's always hard. That first match, the decider match, they probably got a little bit of nerves, a little bit of anxiety, but as time goes on, they're gonna fall back into the normal playstyle that they're used to.
Yeah, Bark has slowed down with the. Well, actually, both of them are just like not expanding very fast. In fact, Slick has 0 cons expanding. Well, I guess 1 con. He's making LLTs now. So it's actually, they both really slowed down in expansion. Barkas is now starting an expansion on the north side. He has a couple of cons expanding in the front. So he's expanding now, but Slick is not, like, at all. So he's gonna keep falling behind in expansion if he doesn't do something about it.
And what do you attribute that to? Just a playstyle difference, or both players being nervous, or scouting information and they feel like one player is all inning or not? It's always like, you're trying to scout and, not die to an all in, but at the same time keep expanding. Do you feel like it's just a lack of experience or them not knowing what their opponent's doing? How would you be
I think
assessing this?
Slick is probably just a bit overwhelmed with having to control all the units in the front at the same time. Like, I'll having to defend everything. It might be, yeah, obviously like some kind of experience issue. It's obviously a mistake. So I mean, it's hard to say. Kind of depends on the person, I suppose.
Yeah, for me, coming from StarCraft, have struggled with the idea of basically the mindset that was reinforced and I'm trying to get more and more used to is just always be expanding. As much as you can, expanding is good. And even when you're on the back foot, even with your opponent attacking, even when you feel like you should just be defending, you almost always want to be expanding
Yeah.
just because mexes give such easy returns, right? If you have a mex up only for, let's say, 30 seconds, it's still well worth it to put down that mex.
Yeah, generally you just want to be expanding if you have the cons already there, right? If you are getting attacked, then you might not want to make extra cons to increase your rate of expansion.
Hmm.
But if you already have the cons, you should just be using them for expanding generally.
Understood. And you can have one or two cons at home building construction turrets or energy, but in general, you should just have a few cons at all times, pushing out, taking the map, kind of like a virus would, right? You want to be constantly pushing the limits
Sure.
of your territory, your vision, everything. Big
Yeah,
fight.
and definitely Raider. That's a big thing as well. Yeah, there's a big fight in the north. It looks like Incisors gonna get the better of this. They're not really micro that well because they should not be getting into the range of the blitzes so much. But it's fine. He has more than enough Incisors to win that fight. It actually looks pretty bad for Barkas because he doesn't really have units. There's one LLT. All the Incisors are bruised, but they can take on this LLT really easily still. He's not microing them correctly though. They're not going into LLT.
Yeah, Incisors outranging blitzes by a little bit, so blitzes want to be on top as much as they can of the Incisors. Very similar, I guess, to Pawns versus Grunts. In general, Pawns, if they can get on top of Grunts, they're going to trade efficiently, but at the same time, Grunts in the right player's hands will just constantly kite and trade up. So, although there was more Incisors, could have been microed a little bit better. All in all, though, I think a favorable trade for Slicklikevik. I feel like he's kind of crawling himself back into this game. He just needs to expand more.
Yeah, neither player has bots right now, so they can't really... Barkas cannot really res all this. If he was bots right now, I would say that Barkas came out on top, but it's actually, he doesn't really have any cons reclaiming that either, so probably... Oh no, he does have one, but it's not taking mexes because it's reclaiming, so I'm not sure what is the right move here even.
Yeah, we have two other round of 8 opponents, Autopilot and Sash, just pinging, trying to point out more or less the same things, that Slicklikevik needs to be taking these expansions, being on top of his macro, on top of getting more metal. At the same time, the different battles being on Pro BCTV side of the map, he does have that opportunity to eat the metal and or res it, but no bots as of right now, so he can't res it. And honestly, I don't know. It's not necessarily a horrible play. He does at least get to recover the metal. BCTV actually going for a groundhog. He looks like he's going to pump out some mines, maybe some walls, especially in this choke point that is typical for, I think, what Barkas likes to do. Yesterday, you actually felt like a big fan of walls. Do you feel like that's something that's going to be used more and more as time goes on?
Yeah, I think walls are good. In general, like I said, you can't always react in time just because there's not enough vision in the game.
Mm-hmm.
In those cases, the wall can just buy you enough time to react. And like it takes a while to kill the wall section, like retarget the units, and they have to stop the fire and so on, right? Or they don't have to, but they generally do, and they have to like squeeze through the wall and so on. It slows down units enough that you can get there to defend. I would say, by the way, that here, because they're both like relatively even now, maybe Slick has an advantage now. But Slick is core, and the core is going to be better in this stage, I would say. Obviously, the incisor range just scales better than blitz speed. Speed is generally like a early game
Yep.
kind of stat, yeah. And range is more of a like later game stat when you have more units up. Then you can have more units attacking at the same time in a bigger army. And also, core has pounders, and pounders are incredible. And Slick is using them right now. I think people have woken up to how good pounders are recently.
Yeah, the inverse of ARM having the option of Janus, though effective, I don't feel like have the same punch. You know, it's great for commander sniping,
Yeah.
it's good for hit and runs, but as far as like APM stalling, it feels like pounders are pretty dummy proof, right? You more or less A move them, they're going to take care of themselves, they're going to be doing a lot of damage, and you're actually putting the onus on your opponent to, you know, outpace them, outmaneuver them, outrange them. It feels a lot harder to be on the receiving end of getting pounded than on the pounder side. Would you agree with that statement,
Yeah, I
Logar?
wonder how good. Yeah, yes, I would agree with that. But I actually wonder how good the Janus would be if people were really microing them, like really hardcore. I don't think you really have the time.
Yeah,
There's multiple fronts you have to micro at the same time generally. But
yeah,
if you did, yeah, how good would they be? To be fair, you don't see them that much in 8v8s. It's usually just like 3 or whatever,
yeah.
where you have all the time in the world. So I'm not sure how good they would be even then, but maybe with good micro and target fire and so on.
Well, I think if you're going to go down that road of calculations, then you would start getting into the bots versus vehicle discussion, right, too, where bots generally are going to be or can be more efficient if microed properly. It's just so much easier to go vehicles into, you know, a move, whatever it might be, you know, some bulls or Czar or banishers or whatever, than to have to micro, let's say, snipers and EMP
The
bots
snipers
and
are really hard, yeah. I would
yeah,
say. EMP bots are probably just too weak right now. Um, I know UBVetter uses them a lot in 1v1s,
yeah.
but it's probably only wins when he's ahead anyway. Like I don't think it's good still.
It's
As
just a
for
lot.
tier one, I would say that the speed of the tanks are just really good on maps like this, on big maps. If there's no hill sub use. However, there's still use cases. Like in a straight up fight, thugs win against tanks. Like in a fight where you have your comm and you're like pushing the enemy base, tanks can't really do anything. Like the only thing you can do is make whistlers, because you can't kill a commander with medium tanks. And whistlers suck. So yeah, it's pretty tough for bots, I would say. I mean, it's pretty tough to defend against bots for vehicles if it gets rolling with a commander.
Yeah, we're considering perfect micro. But as you can see in this match, perfect micro, you know, people try their best, but we're not AI bots, and I feel like both these
Whoa, are
players.
you roasting them?
No, I'm saying, you know, they're doing good considering the
They're doing their
circumstances.
best.
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
doing their best, but you know, they're microing two fronts right now, right? We have on one side
There's
advantage Slicklikevik, on the other side maybe advantage Barcast. We do see a few Janus getting sprinkled in, but once again,
There's
it
sick
feels
gameplay right now from Slick. He's carrying construction turrets to take reclaim fields. It's amazing.
on both sides. He might actually lose this top
Yeah,
one though, and that's what I'm talking about
yeah,
as
he
far
is.
as like it's in a perfect world where we have perfect micro and you know we're AI bots, you're never, you know, you're doing those cool plays but you're never dropping them. But in the world that is realistic to us, you know, uh, people, there's going to be mistakes, and that's where, you know, vehicles,
Yeah.
pounders, tanks are finding that advantage. Even though Barcast did sprinkle in a few Janus, they weren't as impactful because they're not as dummy proof, right? It feels like Slicklikevik can more or less a move. On the flip side, a Janus that is a moved is going to get one shot off and then most likely die. And I feel like that's where the advantage of Core is currently. It looks like Slicklikevik is aggressing on the top side, but then at the same time he's aggressing on the bot side, and these pounders are just worth their weight in gold.
He's getting so much reclaim on the bottom side. It's gonna be really hard for Vargas to come back after that.
Yeah, at the same time, Barcast,
He's getting like Vargas technically is getting some of the reclaim on the north side too. To be fair, it's less, but
yes, I
yeah.
think it's not as established, right? He's dropping these LLTs because he's actually not sure on this north side if he's going to be able to claim it. Meanwhile, on the south side, Slicklikevik is completely uncontested. He's just using a con to eat up what he can while he pushes through with the pounders and maybe gets a couple mexes.
In the north side sort of situation, it would be really actually nice to have thugs here for Slick. This is the kind of situation where the commander can't really die to this army. I mean, it can, but it's hard enough to kill that you think twice about fighting it. Whereas if you have thugs, the commander can't fight at all.
And the main reason being vehicles momentum, kind of harder to micro against commanders, where if they're thugs, they are...
They just have less. They don't have enough range, and they also are not maneuverable enough, right? Like thugs can walk backwards,
Yes, and
And
on a dime.
brutes, they have to turn around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have more
That,
momentum. They
yeah.
have a tougher arc. Yeah, that complete makes sense. That being said, he still did a good amount of damage to BCTV. BCTV trying to drop these LLTs. He needs to establish a line so that he can reclaim this metal. He already lost the south side and the majority of the metal. And if he loses this north side, usually in these tank versus tank battles, it's like whoever can get the reclaim gets a very big advantage.
Yeah, Barkas definitely took a better trade because of the D-guns on the north side, but he's getting completely overmatched in terms of army. Looks like there's a snipe
Oh.
coming for Barkas commander, and there's no anti-air at all.
Yeah, and it is very low. That previous damage the tanks and pounders did might be enough here. Barkhouse running for his life. It is hard to snipe with tier 1 bombers. It's pretty easy to dodge, but when it's already 50% HP, he is cloaked. He is running at the same time, Slicklikevik running his tank line also into Barkas. Barkas doing his best to survive here. The bombers are still up. Like you said, no anti-air. He's not sure which way to go. He's trying to dodge. He pulls out the D-gun, gets a few tanks for his time, but his commander is so low. It looks like it's gonna die. This bombing run may be gonna be it. Oh
Mountain
my.
was messing. Yeah, the mountain was messing with the bombers a lot, but there was no surviving that one. There was nice radar vision with the air scouts as well for Slick.
Yeah.
He never lost vision even with the cloak.
Battle.
And this slight radar wobble doesn't really matter with bombers anyway because they do AoE.
Yeah, and you gotta wonder, like we said, Barkas probably favored here, right? I don't know what the odds would be, but if I had to guess, knowing both these players, seeing them play previously, I would say Barkas probably is winning, I don't know, 60 to 70% against of the games against Slicklikevik, maybe even a little higher. But Vic coming out, stealing that first game. I mean, you gotta wonder, does Barkas regret the arm play? I feel like the Pounders really showed their value. It felt very easy for Slick to find better engagements, make better use out of his APM because he just had the easier, tankier, stronger units pushing in, doing damage.
I think Barkas wasn't really able to utilize the speed of the blitz. Like, he didn't seem like he was clearly ahead in the early game, which you kind of have to get considering you scale wars. So, going into the pounder stage, it was not a very comfortable position.
And what would you say, like, does ARM kick back at some point? Like the scaling comment obviously being used a lot in MOBAs like League of Legends, if you're comparing one champion to the other, which one's better in the mid, early, late game. And you're basically
Yeah.
saying ARM has a strong advantage with the blitzes early game. BCTV didn't get the damage he needed to do for that to come to fruition.
Started.
Is
Yeah.
there a turning point where ARM would be stronger, or is it basically only the early game, only the blitzes which give ARM the advantage in vehicle versus vehicle?
Yeah, it's only if you can use the blitz speed as well. It's not like guaranteed or anything. But on a big open map with, like this one, where Barkas is actually going for arm and Slick is going or we might be able to see it where blitzes can use the range. I mean, can use the movement speed. But yeah, like, do they have a point where they become better? Well, not on tier 1, certainly. Like, because Pounders are so strong. So Pounders are like the best tier 1 scaling unit, kind of. Like, those are kind of the end game of a tier 1, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um,
Tier 2,
but yeah, on tier 2,
Tsar,
they used to
Banishers.
be,
Yeah.
arm units were nerfed are tier 2 vehicles a lot. So now it's not clear anymore. They used to be better, but now a lot of people just prefer core vehicles.
Yeah, once again,
So
I
it's
feel
possible
like
that maybe
it's
arm just is weaker now. It's hard to say, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think it's almost the same thing as Janus versus Pounder. When I think of a Starlight versus a Banisher Czar or whatever comparison you want to make, I feel like the core vehicles are just easier. It's way easier. It's way sturdier to have a Czar, right? Running around, it's pretty tanky, does a lot of damage, has a lot of presence, where I feel like the Janus, the Starlight, some of these more armed vehicles, you need to baby them a little bit more. You need to be careful. If they get surrounded, if they get caught out, they're not as strong, they're more weaker, they're more fragile. And I think at the end of the day, that's
Well, look,
synonymous for all the units.
Starlight scales better. So that's mostly the thing. Like, it's not like it's that hard to use, but it's not as good early as Star. Star is good against tier 1, Starlight is good against tier 2 units, basically. And I mean, it's good when there's a big army and like you can abuse the range, right? But regardless, anyway, in this game, we were seeing a 2-mech start from Slick and a com walk, and he's gonna walk back. That is his commander, so we call this in the X Factor build somewhat. Because he popularized walking back with his commander on vehicle builds.
Who
So
popularized that?
Slick is doing that. X Factor did.
X Factor. Okay, I see.
I mean,
Just getting
it's
these
not like
two.
other people didn't do it, but I feel like, yeah, like, well, it can be a 3-mech start as well. But yeah, just like making some maxes with your com for expansion and then walking back. And the
Mm.
reason you do that is that you stall if you just keep your com in base with a vehicle start, unless the maxes are really big.
Yeah, and I mean, even from an energy perspective, right? You're having to invest so much metal into solars. You're either stalling on the metal side or the energy side, or so it's important, I guess, to walk out, get these two mexes, come back. He even drops two solars at the same time, where it looks like Barkas is just keeping his commander at home.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the move on this map because the commander is extremely valuable. Like you could just keep expanding with the commander too.
Hmm.
Looks like Barkas getting 1 max for his harassment here. That's not enough considering he's behind in expansion. He's also stalling, so there's a build order problem with Barkas for sure, like a big one. So he's going to be behind from that alone. Slick, does he have what it takes to defend against this blitz? There's no incisors out, so he might lose the con if he doesn't turn back down now to the LLT.
Yeah, there's a lot of rascals here, but is it enough? Like you said, I don't think so, and he might actually just lose this con. It does look like Slicklikevik is continuing just to pump rascals. I guess he doesn't feel like he can get an incisor out at time, but at the same time, if he does get enough rascals, he should be able to kill this blitz. It's going to be on Barkas to keep kiting, right? He wants to put on the pressure. He wants to be attacking and denying these expansions, possibly getting the con, but he also doesn't want to be surrounded and killed.
It's quite a lot of misfire, I would say, from Barkas. He wasn't being very aggressive with the blitz. You do have to obviously kite, like you said, but you can't let the con get away
Walk
like
away.
this.
Yeah.
Now there's incisors out. Yeah, the con is out now. There's 2 incisors coming. He can defend this now, at least if the micro is good. Yep, no problem. Now the con had wasted a lot of time just walking back and not getting mexes. But at the same time, it's not like Barkas was expanding very fast. He's been expanding with 1 con. He's been metal stalling with his commander assisting the lab with high priority. So his expansion is extremely slow.
Yeah, and he's had his commander there for a long time. I'm not sure. I feel like Barcast is favored. He's a very solid standard player. I feel like if he goes into the mid-late game on even terms against Slicklikevik, I would say he has a big advantage. It feels very atypical of what his normal play is to be playing this aggressive, playing this quick. It almost feels like he's trying to cheese Slicklikevik, where I feel like if you're quote unquote the better player, you want to play more defensive. You want to play under the sense like, hey, I'm okay, maybe not playing as greedy or maybe taking, like a little bit worse trades, but I have confidence that I'm going to be able to eke out a win mid-late game, where this feels like almost role
Well, I mean,
reversal.
Slick is a team game player, so he knows late game maybe better than Barkas does. And I want to. Oh, this is a bad suicide on the
Yeah,
blitzes
there's
as well. And
all
his
these
incisors,
incisors.
that is
Yeah.
not gonna work out.
I mean, it gets a little
Yeah,
bit of
but I want to
value.
defend Slick here
Yeah, go ahead.
for sure. Like Slick is a very good player, and you have to remember that while he doesn't have so much high 1v1 rating, he doesn't play as much 1v1. If you just do the prep, like that is what matters, honestly. Is that you have a good plan going in for all the maps. You have a good, plan, like build order, people call it. But I mean, it's not like a very complicated build order generally. It's just figuring out the first moves, like not stalling while assisting your lab. That's actually oftentimes what you need to figure out is how to utilize your commander build power most effectively at the start.
Mm.
But once you've got that figured out, like that's what matters. Like you might play 1,000 games and just like chill it. Like generally, when I launch a 1v1 game, it's like I'll just chill and do whatever. But then you go in the tournament game, you think a little bit, you sandbox it, or you don't need to sandbox it, but at least like think about um, your build going in, and that makes like a massive difference. So I know that Slick has been preparing a little bit, and it shows.
Yeah, I mean, Barcast to me though, even just his normal, not internal games, not practices, but just like, 1v1 OSs, I feel like generally speaking, he is a clean player. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he's
stall. And it feels unprecedented to me that he is making so many small mistakes. It's almost like, I don't know, he's feeling the pressure, or he feels like he needs to play differently, or maybe he can get away with a different play style. But as you said, it feels very unpracticed. It doesn't feel like the standard barcast clean play that I'm used to seeing.
yeah, maybe he's just really not planned anything for CCR yet, and that might be his. He might not make it because of that in the tournament. So that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, it's very sad to see. I mean, at the same time, he's got a lot of responsibility. He is running the tournament. He is communicating with all the casters, the scheduling, graphics, matches. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes as basically the host and admin for the tournament, as well as a competitor. I just think it's sad to see for me, because I feel like Barcast's normal play, quote unquote, if it was just a regular ranked match, is so much cleaner and polished, where it feels like he's trying to do something different. I'm not sure why or what he's practiced. Maybe there is something, some rhyme and
This
reason to it.
definitely feels like a weak game
Yeah,
for Barkas.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
compared to
the
his
last
normal.
game was pretty good,
Yeah, it wasn't
right?
that
Like the
bad.
last
Yeah,
game
yeah.
was pretty solid, yeah. But this one was it's not, yeah.
Yeah, not as clean by a good margin, but we'll see if he can crawl his way back in. He obviously is quite behind here. He's doing his best to expand, but at the same time, he has these just giant ball of incisors knocking on his door, and it is oh so tough
Maybe we can get a
to
Janus
defend.
connection.
Yeah, he
Janus
would need a
coming
big
in for
one.
the incisors. Yeah, a couple of big ones even.
I mean, this is the same problem of
Janus is
pawns
running.
versus grunts, right? If Slicklikevik can keep
Okay.
his range, okay, decent hit, and I think more of the
That's something. That's
psychological
something.
battle.
Yeah.
Like, is Slicklikevik going to be willing to risk these incisors into Janices that could be lurking around the corner?
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of expansion still for him to kill, so he doesn't really need to run into the Januses. They're not
Yeah,
really that fast. They can't really get in defense in time.
yeah, and it feels like Barcast has to rely so much on these LLTs, right? It's similar to pawns versus grunts. You need the LLTs to provide the range, to provide that safety net. And at the same time, Barcast trying to counter, trying to find value with blitzes on the other side of the map. He could have picked up this con. He opted for the LLT. We'll see he's scooping, coming back around, trying to do damage. At the same time, he is still getting harassed by Slick. Looks like he did get the con on that south side, so maybe there is hope. He really needs to stall out Vic's expansions while taking his own, and he's struggling right now to do both. He just doesn't have the presence. These incisors, as you said, having faster move speed than the Janus, they can just ping pong north, south, middle, looking for any opportunity to kill whatever he wants, and he's still finding damage despite all these LLTs.
Yeah, he was actually building more solars. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe he was reclaiming, and that's why he's needed the energy. But he's definitely not using it now.
Yeah, it just feels so weird. This
I
commander is
think,
still at base, still getting metal stalled, struggling, not
yeah,
not low priority.
he
It
could just use a
feels
con. Yeah,
it feels very unlike BCTV. I feels like he wanted to do ARM. He saw something. He saw that there was value, and I, I just I can relate so much being a player and feeling nerves, feeling anxiety, and then things not going your way, and you're just like so disappointed. You're doing your best to crawl back into the game, but like you're not playing well, and you have a mountain to climb because you're so far behind. And he just realistically doesn't have that many options. Like the Janus is nice if you can get a good connection, that is one way, but realistically, if you're Barcast right now, what are you trying to do as a player in this game?
I think expanding with a commander is probably the best move because you also enable the commander to use the D gun, and that's one of the best comeback mechanics in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it looks just very hopeless for Barcast, but yeah, I think that would be a good way to try to come back. It's just pushing your commander to the center
Look for
and hoping you
trades.
get big
Look
D-guns like
look
while
for
expanding with the
something.
commander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Provide pressure, hopefully relieve some of the edge pressure so you can get expansions up, and then at the same time having some map control, having some expansions yourself. But yeah, it's very tough right now. It feels like Slicklikevik, I mean, this incisor ball is just so dominant. It provides so much coverage, and then at the same time, these mexes, even in the middle of the map for him, he's just building exploiters. I feel like Slicklikevik feels he knows where he's at in the game. He feels very ahead, and he's covering his
Yep.
bases. He continues to put pressure. He has a great defense with making exploiters, and then he's just trying to keep Barkas pinned in, fenced in as much as he can.
Normally, I'd say that this is way too many exploiters, but while if you're winning this hard, might as well, right?
Yeah, you're basically just covering your outs. I feel like it was similar when I was watching your games yesterday. It felt like at some points you were so ahead, and then you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna build a jammer. I'm gonna cloak my commander. I'm gonna hide it in the base because realistically, this game
Yeah.
is won. You know, if nothing crazy
You learned that
happens.
in FFA. You learned that in FFA. You can always cloak your calm inside a jammer because there might be some,
Cheeky play come in.
bombers coming.
Yeah,
Some liches, yeah.
yeah. I've heard a common saying is that if you want to learn 1v1, just play FFA, and then you will learn
Oh
to play
yeah.
1v1s pretty well.
It's interesting. FFA definitely in bar is a really interesting game mode because you kind of get to experience the 8v8 early game with, like Thogs, Maces, rocket bots in your first 1v1 against someone. Hopefully it's a 1v1.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously you could just get ganked and die, but if it's a 1v1, assuming it's a 1v1, you get to kind of experience the 8v8 early game, and then once you kill your first player and you like get tier 2, you kind of get to experience the tier 2 stage, and like the map keeps expanding when you progress throughout the game, assuming that you're winning that game. And so yeah, I just think that's really cool.
You get every stage. You're not getting crushed usually
Yeah.
1v1. You usually get a chance at 2v2 or tier 2, and then you usually get a chance to get to tier 3 if you know, are winning your, hopefully, like you said, your 1v1 and then another 1v1, and you just keep eating up the map and progressing. Does look like Barkas is pushing out with
Yeah,
this commander. Go ahead.
Also the skill differences can make it so I can totally understand people not enjoying it if, like, there's some flash in the game and just
Yeah.
kills them
Instantly.
early game
Yeah.
every single game. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun for a player like that, so it's more approachable that way. Yeah, it
Well,
does look like Slick is gonna put the nail in the coffin right now with this
big
incisor
push.
and brute push. To be fair, generally, I mean, one of the best comeback mechanics is also just speed.
Yeah, and then you get to reclaim all the metal or eat all the metal. I mean, Barkas is probably hoping for a big push like this over this slow, insidious death of, you know, Slicklikevik taking 80% of the map while he stays in his little box. Does
Slick
look
is
like,
actually floating a lot of metal. He just has so much metal. At this point, he can add a second factory easily.
yeah, and just pump brutes and just slam the door shut. It does look like Slick's going to commit to an attack here. It looks like no matter what, he's going to get damaged. He's going to pick up Khan. He's going to pick up Barkas's base. I feel just so bad, obviously, knowing both these players, cheering for them both, being friends with them both. I feel bad for Barkas because I feel like he did not play his best, right?
Yeah.
Battle ended.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Barkas has played better games than these.
And Barkas
I
even
think the first
writing,
game though was really good from both players.
he
Yeah.
even said, "Why did I
Yeah,
play
he's
ARM?"
writing that
You know, if
on
you
both
can't
games too.
you can't make use of those blitzes, it's just it's a very tough time. I loved.
To be fair,
Yep. Go
on
ahead.
this map, it was probably okay, right? Like I played ARM on this map in my matches, I think. So I don't think ARM is bad or anything on this map. In the previous map, I think it was more questionable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I'm not sure. I would assume you practiced ARM on this map.
No, I didn't play any games. I don't
Oh,
think I
you
played a
know,
single game
zero practice.
on
Okay.
this map.
I think for Barkas, like, I would have loved to
Yeah.
see him prep a little bit if he did opt for ARM. It felt
Yeah.
very much like he decided to play ARM, maybe based on the fact that you played ARM and thought he could make it work, but it felt uncanny for him, less polished than what I'm normally used to. And I'm very happy for
Yeah, if he
Slick.
did the same build as Slick, right?
Yeah,
Like it would have been so much better if he did exactly the same thing as Slick did. Slick did a good build. Like that was great.
yeah. And it just felt like he was metal stalled. He wasn't, you know, pushing out as much as you need to, not taking expansions, and honestly, it felt like a little reminiscent of my play, which is not a good thing. Like either being completely out of energy or completely out of metal or not having the right build order. It just felt very unpracticed, very unusual for Barcast, and I'm very happy for Slick. Obviously, my co-caster yesterday, I'm very, proud of him, and I feel like, he was the underdog in this match, but I feel for Barcast because I feel like he's been doing so well lately too, right? Like in general, I feel like he's been doing
Yeah,
better
yeah.
and better, and then to drop this, when maybe and just not playing his best game. It's one thing to lose. It's another thing to feel like you didn't leave it all, out in the open. You didn't do your best, and you wish you had a redo, but he's gonna have to wait into the next BPL, and hopefully he's better then and more practice, or has a better day. I feel for him.
At the same time, Slick is just really good, and I think I'm playing against him next in the round of 8 now,
Yeah.
since he won. And yeah, I'm a bit scared of him. I mean, he's good. I think he's with the other TM boys. He's been working out what to do on each map, and yeah, he's just a solid player. So I don't think it's gonna be easy at all.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. I hope they're good games. I hope I get to cast them. I hope that you guys both put on your best play, and they're great games. But we're gonna call it there. Once again, congrats to Slicklikevik. He moves on to the round of 8. I think theoretically playing my co-caster Bloatier, and unfortunate for Barcast, he's gonna be knocked out. He's gonna have a little bit of time to recuperate, and then obviously we hope to hear his voice and his commentary going into next week, and him following the matches. And once again, despite him getting knocked out, I want to say thank you for Barcast, being the host, the admin, the competitor, a little bit of everything, and hopefully soon to be the caster. Any last words from you, Blue Deer?
No, I mean, I think you did a pretty pro job on this cast, so
Okay, thank you.
thumbs up to you. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, we'll see you next week, right? We'll see you competing. We'll see me
Yep.
casting, hopefully. All right, that's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. For sure. It's to both of us. Yep.
All right, bye bye.